Okay, so guys, hi everyone. This is our first attempt to go live like this because it's not your usual Instagram live. Maria and I, we had to overcome certain technical issues. So what's happening here, we're actually on a Zoom call, which is being live broadcasted on Instagram through a third-party platform. So there will be a little delay from our side, but you should be able to just, enjoy our conversation as per usual. And you should be able to, let me just check if that's true. Yeah, you should be able to send your comments, your questions, the usual way, because I will be monitoring them on the third-party platform. Okay, cool. I can even see who's joining. Wonderful. This is the first attempt. I tested it before, but this is our first attempt. So hopefully everything will go nicely. If it does, we'll use it in the future. And I'm happy to share with you, how it works, because we have certain restraints here in Dubai. So please feel free to answer your questions. Sorry, I may sound a bit rusty because it's been a while since I went live on Instagram in English, and probably have a long conversation in English too. It's been all Russian content recently. But anyway, welcome to our live. Maria, thank you so much for finding the time. I'm so excited, so happy to see you.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Zara. I'm a startup girl. Also, I teach meditations and yin yoga, and I'm currently doing my hypnotherapy course, which I'm particularly excited about. And also, I'm heavily into numbers. And I discovered Maria's profile, I think around maybe last year, a year ago, maybe a little bit less than that. I don't even know who followed whom at the beginning, but once I checked Maria's profile, I knew she was my cup of tea. I absolutely loved what she stood for. And, we started kind of exchanging first reactions and then messages. And then maybe a few weeks down the road, or maybe even less, I found out that Maria is also an Armenian. So, she became double my idol, my role model. And this summer, Maria was it your first retreat in Armenia?
Yes, it was. Yes. Yeah, it was one of the best, I guess.
Yeah, so Maria had a retreat in Armenia. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but I'm definitely joining.
You heavily promoted it.
Yeah, well, a retreat in Armenia, what can be better than that, right?
Exactly.
So, for those of you who, by some unexplained reason, don't know Maria yet. So Maria is a breath worker, is a spiritual growth coach, and an inventor, a founder of her own spiritual modality. So Maria, over to you. Can you please tell your story? Because not every single person becomes a spiritual coach and a healer.
Yes. Thank you so much, Zara. First and foremost, I'm so excited to share with you today. And I really, really admire what you do as well. And I can't wait for you to finish your hypnotherapy course completely. And I'm happy to be one of your students or your guinea pigs. I'm more than happy to do that. So to be honest, my journey, I don't have a set date that I could say that it started on that day and I realized I had an epiphany, etc., because I believe it had different phases. Talking about spirituality or understanding life beyond the physical world, I would have to say started more or less around the age of 6 or 7. When I read my first acupressure book, which was called Health in Your Hands. My dad had it, and because at the time I had moved from Dubai to Syria to live there, and no one knew English at the time, and it was very difficult for me to function in society, function at school. I only knew English because I was brought up in Dubai, in Kuwait, moved around a lot. So I remember picking up that book and just going through it. And I remember seeing chakras for the first time there. And I remember practicing the acupressure points, what it does. So my parents were both always into wellness one way or another. And then fast forward over the years, I was always into meeting different psychics, different healers, understanding life beyond, again, the physical world. But when did I start more practicing? I would have to say it was around 2007, 2008, when I moved to Damascus, and I had an English friend. She was a teacher. I come from the background of teaching English as a second language with the British Council, so I've been doing that since 2006. So we were colleagues, and she was a healer, a pagan, who used to follow the moon cycles, who used to understand crystals, etc. And I learned a lot from her. And we used to do many practices of energy work. So I started my journey that way. And then I moved to Beirut. I started doing different courses. In the meantime, most of the things was self-studied through feng shui, through crystal work, through energy work, through sound healing. And then finally, again, fast forward, after learning many of the things in Beirut, I moved to Dubai with my husband in 2013. I had already been practicing, been giving sessions, but I was not taking it fully seriously. Although I had many messages often come to me that you should choose this as a path, but I always wanted to just be one of the managers at the British Council. That was my dream. Or be a director in the future in the education system.
Maria, sorry, one question. Did I hear you right? You found a book of acupuncture when you were 6 or 7. Acupressure. Yes. 6 or 7 years old. I mean, that's incredible. Not so many kids read around that age, not to mention read this kind of books. I just wanted, I was desperate to clarify that, because I you know, this is really shocking in a good way. Okay, so sorry if you interrupted.
I still have the book, actually. I still have the book. I still practice it every now and then. It's a fantastic book. I don't know if it's still in publication, but it's a fantastic book. It really makes you understand the meridians, the energy points, and that's why when you were sharing those needles, remember? I forgot what they're called, that you can stand on the needles as acupressure and
nail board. Yeah.
Yes, the nail board. That's why I was interested in that, because I've been investigating that for a while. So, like I said, finally, life took a turn. I would have to say about 5-6 years ago, where I finally dedicated my path on this, and I changed my profession, but I still do teach till now. And going into the idea of founding life scripting, since I come from a teaching background, I've always wanted to teach what I've learned. However, every time when I try to teach following a school or following a modality, something used to stand in my way. Either I had to be more prepared, or they wanted more evidence, or they wanted more certifications from me to complete. Sometimes I was lazy, not completing what they wanted from me. And then finally in 2019, I was giving a group Akashic Records session at Illuminations, where the messages just flew, like they actually flew into my consciousness, and I knew exactly what I had to do, how I had to structure the courses, and what I needed to teach in my own way. I remember going home, typing everything up. It took me a few days to actually believe what I'm doing, and I had to try it. I remember I told my husband, I want to try it on you to see if what I'm saying or what I'm feeling makes sense. And he accepted it, and he felt tremendous changes within. He was like, he felt the energy moving. He's quite sensitive to energy. And yeah, and we are now here. I've already trained about 150 students for now. Some of them are extremely dedicated to life scripting. One of the things to understand about life scripting is it's not about being one type of healer or one type of coach. It's about integrating the breath. It's about integrating energy work, expanding your intuition and not being very linear, not being extremely logical in your process. It's not like a to-do list when you meet a client. You have to feel what the client needs, what area they need to focus on, and also learning the power of words, because the words have power, and what we think and what we say has an impact on the subconscious mind. I'm sure you know that very well. And it has an impact on how we feel and how we can manifest. So what life scripters learn is these 4 principles. And through that, they are able to pinpoint what a person would need, what they would need for themselves. And at the same time, learning which dimension of existence they need to connect to. We are now in the material world, on planet Earth. This is a certain density of energy, but there are higher densities of that. And in life scripting, they learn what they call the 11th dimension, which is the Akashic records, which is the database of the universe, which is the database of the soul. And then beyond that, we can call, I like to call the energy of 0 point. Some people call it God's energy. Some people call it the creator, the divine. The reason why I like the word 0 point is because belief systems do not exist. It's neutrality, which is unconditional love in a way. So they learn to access this through their level of awareness, through their level of intention and consciousness.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, did I get cut?
There was
a phone call came in.
Those phone calls that interrupt in the worst moment.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I guess I tried to put it into a nutshell of what life scripting is and how it started.
And who is it for? Who would be, who would really benefit from learning life scripting?
A person who is interested in breath work, in any form of breathing modalities, they would like that kind of work. And that's interesting because I want to give you some example about some of my clients. A person who wants to expand their intuition, they want to be a psychic, let's say, or they want to receive intuitive messages. A person who wants to work with belief systems, understanding people's belief systems, life scripting can help them. Now, like I said, I have certain life scripters, this is what I like to call them, is they are very much into the breathwork part. So they use the life scripting technique to do conscious connected breathing, which is inhaling and exhaling without any pause. There's no breath retention. There's no controlling of the breath. It's allowing the breath to flow. And that helps to expand the awareness, bring clarity, open up the meridians, open up the chakras, and just receive even intuitive messages, tap into past lives, for example. Then I have those who are, let's say, they shy away from the breathing part. There can be personal reasons, or there can be just a personal preference. And they would be doing more of the energy work, accessing Akashic records. So can we say, is it only spiritual work? I wouldn't say so, because the breathwork part is quite physiological, and there is a lot of science behind it. And we learn that in level 2 more often because I tap into epigenetics a little bit. My favorite scientist is Dr. Bruce Lipton, where he talks about epigenetics. He's the founder of epigenetics. Understanding the DNA and how it holds memories and how it holds beliefs and how we can transform that. So there are aspects of, because I personally am both intuitive and both very left-brained. I like to understand things as well. Yet I always look into not analyzing too much, but feeling things more and helping people to understand through their feelings and through their intuition.
And so, when it comes to breath work, would you say that yoga teachers, for example, would benefit from life scripting, to enhance their pranayama practice?
Yes, because it will help them with their, as we said, their physiological well-being. They become more oxygenated. They can add that to their yoga practices. I personally have experimented with that as well. Obviously, we know that in different forms of yoga practices, whether it's hatha yoga, ashtanga yoga, yin yoga, whichever it is, or Bikram yoga, there are different breathing sequences that they also use with the asanas. I personally have tried keeping my breath continuously flowing without any retention. And one of the things I can firmly say and confidently say is the level of sweating in the body and the level of tiredness and tension, let's say afterwards, because, you know, sometimes the body, whatever asana you're doing, if you stretch it a little bit more, you might maybe injure yourself or cause extra, what's the word? Like to the muscular system, it can cause a little bit of discomfort, right? I've noticed that if you keep the breath flowing, it doesn't matter the speed, it doesn't matter if it's through the lungs or through the belly, you will end up gaining more energy, because that's what it does. That's number one. When you keep the inhale and the exhale without any breath retention, you energize yourself. You bring in more prana to the system. And if you bring in more prana, then obviously you're more energized and you feel less fatigue, less tiredness, and you can stay more alert and focused. So definitely yoga teachers can practice this. And I have many yoga teachers who are clients as well. And they learn certain conscious connected breathing exercises and they teach them to their own students or clients.
What about Reiki practitioners?
Reiki practitioners. I've had both types of clients. One who after life scripting, their Reiki abilities just blossomed. They had absolutely no idea about Reiki. And within the session, they started feeling that their hands are being highly energized and activated. And because in life scripting, one of the main rules is you're not allowed to touch the client. You're not allowed to hold, there is nothing with the hands. Everything is through verbal command. You sit in a distance and you just observe and you do verbal commands while you receive intuitive guidance. So I remember one of my clients, while in the training, she was looking at me and saying, Maria, my hands are just activated. And I just feel like I need to put it on top of the client's body. I was like, go ahead with it. If you're getting that message, do that. And after that, she went and did all the Reiki trainings. And now she's a Reiki practitioner. So that was beautiful to see because life scripting opened up her gifts. It's not about following a modality. It's about seeing what your path is. And the other way around, Reiki practitioners, they've seen that their ability to be intuitive, to follow the energy has increased as well after they've learned life scripting.
Amazing. Okay, my next question is quite obvious. What about hypnotherapists? And what is the difference between life scripting, hypnotherapy, and any other modalities that we have on the market, in the universe? The universe is abundant. By the way, Yuvraj, because today my Hypno level 5 has started, and Yuvraj said something. He said, we have so many different modalities in the world because you never know which one would suit a particular person. It's like, you know, you're an Italian chef at a fancy restaurant and there is a client that comes in and wants a cup of tea. And that's it. Yeah. You have to be able to serve that cup of tea. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Hypnotherapist. So I have never studied hypnotherapy. I do know the practice. I've received sessions through hypnotherapy. I have hypnotherapy students who've done life scripting. So I'm going to talk from their perspective as well as my perspective. In hypnotherapy, you have, depending what type of, is it transregression or hypnosis, whatever process the person is practicing, there are stages and there is a way of letting the client go into a state of, let's say, a certain brainwave, let's call it the theta brainwave, so that they'll be able to access the subconscious mind through certain suggestions or either a script, right? What's interesting is, and I don't have a logical answer for this, is in life scripting, people are being able to access that within less than 3 minutes. People who've never been able to do any form of visualization, who haven't been able to do any form of hypnosis before, And they're being able to access different parts of their subconscious just by the command. And I believe the reason for that is because we are using energy here. When you send an information to the energy, energy is all about command. It's all about intention. If you are putting the intention as a facilitator, or let's say you have studied it and you're doing it on yourself, self-healing, then you are guiding that energy to go to a certain state so that you can access your subconscious mind. So it's a much faster process, and there isn't much of the logical mind to see and think and understand, because some people have difficulty opening themselves up to a hypnotherapist or to any kind of facilitator. So life scripting does not ask you those questions, does not tell you that, tell me what you see. Well, this is where your intuitive ability needs to enhance as a facilitator and make sure where to guide them and how to guide them, and clear their belief systems through the energetic parts, which is what I call activations or deactivations, without going in through the storyline. So we are narrowing down the storyline, or maybe there's actually no storyline, and we're picking up that, okay, this person has a belief system, let's say a trauma, and we can help clear that trauma by commanding to deactivate it. Now, it might sound a bit too good to be true for the analytical mind. This is why those people who do need that visualization, do need to see things in a step-by-step, in a more linear process, then hypnotherapy is what they get guided to. But some people come in, like I said, and then they get guided to hypnotherapy. Some people have done hypnotherapy and then practice life scripting, and they integrate that and they see what a person would need. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I actually have a weird question. Have you ever had a client who you know, just fell asleep on the couch while doing your practice? And so does it mean anything? Do they get upset over it?
No, you see, one of the things I do in my sessions is I explain things in advance, so they know what to expect at certain points. So from an energy perspective, now it depends. If they're doing a breathwork session and they fell asleep within 5-10 minutes, the session did not happen, and as a facilitator, I made a mistake. I shouldn't let them fall asleep, because that's a form of resistance. Many times people, once they get into the breathwork experience, they're like, oh, I'm getting tired, I want to sleep. And my explanation is, you don't get tired from breathing, because you always are. That's what keeps you alive. You're getting tired of what the subconscious mind is trying not to let go of. So if it's a breathwork environment, we're doing life scripting breathwork, then they're not allowed to sleep. However, if we are doing energy work, there is a possibility of them sleeping. And simply because, if we want to talk about it chakra-wise, the crown center, when we are doing energy work, the energy is going to flow from the higher crowns. So we have the crown, and then we have a higher crown, and there are other layers of that. So when the energy is starting to flow into the body, and we are clearing different forms of belief systems or different forms of energy work, we're deactivating them, then it can be extensively heavy, and the person might even have a headache, and they won't be able to sustain that level of full awareness, and they can doze off. And that is absolutely okay if it's done in an energetic setting. What's very interesting is, if we are doing Akashic Records energy work, so they're accessing the Akashic Records, and in Akashic Records, I teach 4 different chambers to access. Obviously, they're not really chambers because it's an energetic frequency. But what's fascinating is, when you take them from one chamber to the other, sometimes they completely disconnect in one chamber. They don't even hear you. They're not even aware you went there. When they wake up, they're like, really? I didn't even hear that part, but I heard the other part after it. So depending, from my experience, I've noticed if there is an excessive amount of trauma or excessive amount of resistance, that part of chamber will be like as if blocked for their logical mind to remember, or their conscious mind. And then later on, they'll be able to process everything else, whatever they can handle. So it is a lot of intuitive work rather than following by the book, we have to say.
But the good news is that those who do learn life scripting, they will get that intuition, right? They will develop that intuition.
Yes,
so
that's one of the principles, and that's absolutely important. That's, I would say, maybe the spiritual aspect of it from the whole other three parts, because people don't have to be spiritual to do breath work or to do energy work or to do affirmations. But the intuitive side, they need to have some level of trust that there is something beyond their logical mind helping them in the process.
So what are the main issues someone would come to you for the client, for the therapist to start using life scripting instead of other modalities? What are your top issues?
So the top issues, anxiety is always number one. And we know that that's number one, I think, in all the fields, in all the therapy work. So it depends on their level of anxiety. If they have severe anxiety, they have been on medication, then I do not start with them through breath work, because they can have extreme physiological sensations and that might scare them. We don't want to put them off in that process. Although there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of, but the mind, since we know it's a powerful tool, we don't want it to backfire on them. So we would end up doing it through energy work, through activations and deactivations, and allowing them to just relax, lie down, and listen to what I'll have to say during the session. Then I have those who are curious to understand about past lives, which they can access the Akashic records that way. But again, depending on their level of intuition, some clients in a session, they can see and feel visions or understand visions, and some others, they won't be able to. And to be honest, I do believe they can, but they just can't put two and two together. Like they would see colors or they would feel something, they would have a memory of something, but they don't trust themselves enough. And then different forms of karmic issues. So let's say they are stuck in a relationship, in a job, they don't know what their path is. They're having a certain level of repetitive patterns that are occurring in their lives. My role is to help them realize if this is a karmic issue or if this is let's say, more of a personality trait that they have developed in this lifetime, and they need to just have a bit more of a resilience and be able to overcome that. So this is the majority. And it depends. Sometimes if a person comes to me that they want to just experience breath work, I will be doing the life scripting breathwork technique with them. And because they have experienced it somewhere else and they want to experience it a little bit differently with me in a session. Excuse me.
So this is a dedicated message to certain people, those who are desperately looking for wives. Consider booking your session with Maria and maybe resolving certain karmic patterns that you have, or karmic issues, to finally find that person. Okay, that's great to know. Maria, I have another crazy question for you. Any really interesting cases that come to your mind with clients, seeing really interesting, fascinating stuff, stories that you may share with your friends over coffee?
Yes, definitely. The one that's popping in my mind right now is a very, very dear client. I really admire her strength and resilience. She's someone who's visited me like twice a week in the last 7-8 months. What's interesting about her case is her mind continuously brings up a new issue to fix. Every time she would walk in, she would have an issue. We do the session. Once we finish the session, she's like, wow, that's amazing. I just discovered another pattern. So I'm coming after 2 days to work on that. Until after, so this is how I work. I don't believe in number of sessions. I don't believe that you have to have a certain amount of sessions for you to be able to resolve or heal something. And I also do believe that getting attached to a healer is extremely toxic. So I had to tell her to not see me for 2 months. I remember one day she finished the set, she was like, I'm feeling so great, and she was like, I realized something else. I said, before you realize, you're not allowed to see me for 2 months. And that was a huge shock for her system, but that was part of her healing. And that really empowered her and changed her. So, excuse me, I would say what was unique about her is she always had something to find faults in, like extreme level of judgment towards herself.
Mm-hmm.
And since she is on the path of self-discovery, she always wanted to become the better version of herself, which we all want to do that. However, it can also become an addictive situation. So finally, we had to also work on her addictive habits, which was I was guided to do a certain technique with her for 3 consecutive sessions, which was extracting, and this is a very energetic concept now, it might be very foreign to many people. The guidance that I received was extracting addictive thought forms and addictive implants that are stuck in each chakra that she has. And every time when we were deactivating that, and she was breathing at the same time, so we were combining breath work and energy work at the same time, she was feeling extreme levels of sensations from every single part, as if like you are unlocking something in every single chakra for herself. And that was, I would say, the deal breaker. For me, it was an eye-opener to see how addiction, we all have addictions, how an addiction can be stuck in different chakras for different purposes. Let's say if someone's addicted to, let's say, smoking, very cliche example, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be only in one area of the body. It can be smoking for survival, so it's tapped into the root chakra. It can be smoking to feel creative, it's tapped into the sacral chakra, and so on and so forth. So through her, I would have to say I was guided and I discovered this other level of working with addictive behaviors and addictive patterns.
And was it an impromptu kind of work, or do you teach the, work with chakras in that sense as well?
Yes, I do. We work on the 13 chakras. There are 13 chakras that we work on, not the traditional 7. Mm-hmm. And we learn to extract, deactivate energetically again through verbal command, all those belief systems that can be stuck in those chakras, and at the same time to activate beliefs or activate emotions or thoughts that can empower a person. So it's always like a deactivation with an activation kind of process. So we can call it chakra balancing, because you see, like I said, if we want to compare to Reiki, Reiki is sending the prana or the chi into different forms of the body to balance itself out. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily working on a thought. It's not necessarily working on a belief of someone per se. So what we are doing with the chakras is we're working on the beliefs with the chakras. So it's not necessarily balancing it out. If, let's say, the belief is out, let's say, feeling stuck in life. So mainly this person would have sacral chakra affected, root chakra affected, soles of the feet affected, the root, which is connecting you to Mother Earth. Then that's
one of the extra 6, non-traditional 6.
Yes. Yes, mm-hmm. So the soles of the feet, the bottom of the feet, where it's highly important because of grounding reasons. If you do so much energy work, your grounding needs to be at the same level. Otherwise, you're in la-la land the whole time, or you can become extremely depleted and your energy can be vacuumed out of you unnecessarily. So that's what we would be working on in that case.
It's uncanny that you remembered that particular case, because today in Hypno 5 we were learning things about chakras, and I think we have more coming up tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And I just realized, there could be a new kind of profession, or maybe there is already, like a chakra worker or a chakra coach. When you put it all together, if you know how the body works and you are, for example, yoga teacher, you can help with asanas, and then you can use life scripting and things that you teach in life scripting. And then there is hypno level, part around chakras. So that's amazing. And I think more and more people are becoming aware that chakras is not some, voodoo kind of stuff. And more and more people start really believing in it. Because guys, if you can't see something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's not there. Okay. So just, bear that thought in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other, interesting cases that you can remember?
Well, there's so many. I just have to see which one's funny or traumatic.
Let's go with a little bit traumatic. I mean, if you're up for it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there was this one case where a lady was trying to heal her relationship issues. And she couldn't find out what was the problem, where she would be able to attract partners and then the partners would leave her life. And then once we did Akashic record, life scripting, not breath work involved, it was only energetic work involved. I was, again, while she was lying down, everything that I say is out loud, so they would hear me. I received an intuitive message of there is a form of rape and there is a form of sexual abuse that has taken place in whatever lifetime that there is. And that is a form of block for her, that she won't continue a relationship in her life. Either she would date and then it might reach to an engagement and then it would completely break off. So when I said the word to deactivate rape, and it was a strong word, right, to say that all of a sudden, which we hadn't discussed in our session. Mind you, as a life scripter, when you get trained, one of the things I tell them is you need to tell, in your early stages of training, you do need to tell the client what you're going to work on before they lie down, so that they don't hear any surprises. In my case, obviously, I'm the trainer, so I would have more experience. I would be able to feel and say, trusting myself a bit too much here, of what I need to deactivate for them out loud. So I did end up saying that word, and all of a sudden, she went into almost a screaming noise, where she started feeling pain in her sacral, as if something was being pulled out. I was energetically feeling the pull out that was happening for her, but she was like, this is unbearable, I can't take it anymore. That's what she was saying. So I had to add other layers of deactivations and activations, like, okay, let's activate more ease and grace, let's activate forgiveness. So let's say overlaying energetic work one top of the other. And until about 5 minutes later, she was able to calm down. Now, again, mind you, this client had extreme trust towards me, where she didn't open her eyes and wake up and leave, because I had been seeing her for like 2-3 times, and we had developed that sense of trust. And once we finished, she was able to explain to me what she had seen in that session, although it was not intended for her to see anything. I didn't guide her to a chamber for her to watch something. It was just the healing part. She was able to feel that, see that, experience that, had absolutely no recollection of it. It was not from this lifetime. It was extremely painful and unpleasant, because it was both rape and abuse. And then after that, obviously it takes about 3 to 5 days to integrate. Some emotions will come out. Usually you might feel quite emotional. 3 to 5 days you would cry, feel maybe unbalanced. And then later on, she told me how she felt this sense of renewal in herself, and this sense of trust, that she realized that she didn't trust men. She thought that, so she wanted to be in a relationship, she wanted to get married, but a part of her, she didn't know that she was not trusting men. So it was a way of a defense mechanism pushing them all away from her life. And then she was like, I'm so excited now. I can feel this energy of a new man entering my life. It doesn't have a story ending because we're still in the process. I will be seeing her maybe in a week or two. But this happened about 3 weeks ago. And she's feeling extremely well. We want to do another session on different topics or to see if there's anything we want to add to that. But the reason why I shared that is because she didn't come with that intention. She didn't come with the idea of clearing something like that. I didn't know something like that is going to come up. And the traumatic part of it is an energy command can be quite intense. People think, okay, she's just saying a word. Maybe it's a suggestion to my subconscious. But to feel it in different parts of your body and to have visions to come in is beyond our logical comprehension.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those cases. They're really, and I love that you brought up completely different examples from different perspectives. And yeah, guys, I did experience Akashic Records with Maria, I think around a month ago, and it was a completely different experience to hypnotherapy. I mean, I wouldn't call it completely different. Of course, there are certain similarities, but it's really like hypnotherapy meets meditation meets, I don't know, psychic readings. It's really, it was really mind-blowing. And of course, you know, it's very easy to build a rapport with you as a client. So yeah, your course, Life Scripting Level 1 starts next weekend at Illuminations. And by the way, I forgot to mention Illuminations because actually it's thanks to you that I have discovered Illuminations after living in Dubai for almost at that point 7.5 years. And you know, I live like next door. It's ridiculous. And yeah, it's thanks to you that I've discovered them, and I have embarked on this hypnotherapy journey with them, and obviously met all my wonderful mentors and friends. Yeah, my hypno family there. So I'm really, really grateful for that. You were the guide. So yeah, your live scripting starts next weekend, and this is the only reason why I'm not personally joining this time, because it coincides with Hypno 5. But can you tell us a bit more about the training itself? And yeah.
Yeah, sure. So this is the last one for 2021. 2022, we still haven't scheduled it yet, but we will definitely have it. It's going to be 2 days from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are going to be learning Akashic Records. That's what level 1 is about. You learn how to access Akashic Records, understand the history of it, and explore the intuitive side of it, plus learning the four principles, as we said, which is breath work, energy work, intuition, and the words. You learn to meet, this is a bit of the spiritual side of it. You will end up discovering who your invisible team of helpers are, which I would call your spirit guides. You end up learning about their names. Again, this is very personally. Yes. Because when I was doing the course, when I was planning the course back in 2019, I was asking, okay, I've always been fond of archangels, fond of ascended masters. I've had different decks of cards that I've worked with them. I've read about them. So I was like, you can't have Akashic Records without discovering that form of realm, you know, they do come with it. So I remember very well, I sat down and I said, okay, who wants to be involved in my level 1 training? Who are the guides? Again, this is going to sound very crazy, very friendly. And I just started writing names of different guides who come from different backgrounds. And there's an interesting story about this I want to share very quickly. So I have about 18 names written in the course. What we do in the training, here's a sneak peek. What we do in the training, on the second day of the training, everyone sits around. I tell them to have a pen and paper ready. they close their eyes and I guide them to the Akashic records into one of the chambers. And I tell them, I'm going to give a number. And when I say the number in my mind, I have the name of the guide who is going to appear. Your job is to see if you have any form of connection to this guide and write down what you feel. Now, it's absolutely fascinating how when we finish all the 18, they have no idea who they are. They haven't discovered it. They haven't read it. Not everyone gets all the 18 because not everyone is connected to all the 18, but a minimum of 3 to 5 guides, they end up either saying the name, like let's say I would say number 2 is Archangel Michael, for example, in my mind, right? And I'm calling upon the energy of Archangel Michael to work with them. They end up writing down Michael on the piece of paper. Or someone would say there is an angel, this is an angel, not a master. Or there is the color blue, there is a sword. So everyone's intuitive ability, whether it's clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognitive abilities, they end up discovering. And for them, that's a message that you need to work with these guides, which is your spiritual side of things, because you are not the only one doing the healing work. You have an army of helpers to help you that. So that's one of my most favorite parts of the course, because every time they're like, how did I know this? How did this happen? How did my mind didn't make it up. And they always have these interesting questions asking.
And these are common masters, or could it be masters of your personal, like, spiritual guides that join you particularly in that training, like me as a student?
So they're not personally mine, because I do not necessarily work with all of them. They are masters and archangels that I've listened, read about for over the years, and they just pop in. Oh, so the other part of the interesting point was, when I was giving one of the courses last year, I had a client who was writing down different names which were not present in the actual manual. And when I was saying the number, and when we finished and we were recollecting, she's like, I received this name and I received that name. And then I immediately got a confirmation, and then through a little bit of research, that, you see, ascended masters have different incarnations in different religious backgrounds and in different parts of the world. And if you really read about them, you would discover that some of them have different names. So in that course,
in different parts of the world, you mean?
Exactly. So in that course, that specific client brought to my attention that just because I'm saying a certain name, I've written it down, that she was channeling, I would have to say channeling, the different incarnation of that person, which would resonate with her own background. And that just blew my mind away of how she was able to pick that up. And that's after that, I was able to share that in all my trainings by saying, guys, these are the names that I have received. You could receive a different name, but the intention of it, it's not obviously the name. It's about what the purpose of that guide is. If the guide is there to help you with your love life, to help you with your spiritual path, is there for physical healing, if there is there to help you with more compassion. And there was always this form of synchronicity, people finding the description for that. And till this day, we have no logical explanation how that happens.
So wait, are you telling me that if I join, not if, when I join your course, I may have a chance to meet Gregory the Illuminator?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm now even more in. But yeah, jokes aside, guys, I think this is absolutely incredible. Don't miss your chance. This is the last training in this year. But if for some reasons you can't make it this time, just like I can't, make sure to check it out next year. Speaking of next year, do you have any idea when it's going to be?
Well, maybe around March or April, just so that we can let people digest after the holidays, January and February, and then we can start off again. Yes.
That's great news. Well, Maria, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. I can't say that the technical thing is absolutely fabulous. It's not that cool as I expected to be, but still, at least we gave it a try.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe we can do it some other way next time. But yeah, again, thank you so much for being there, guys. Please follow Maria for your own sake, because she has tons of information on connected breathing, on how to incorporate, you know, healthier lifestyle, bringing awareness into your life. Everyone is looking for something now, because, you know, more or less we have satisfied the basic needs. We eat, we have food, we have water on the, you know, in our life, we have shelter. So now it's the time to look for more answers when we have questions. So thanks again. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Whoever is going to watch it later on, because I will definitely upload this on both our Instagrams, make sure to reach out to Maria and ask all your questions about life scripting and her upcoming course next weekend. So it's what, 22nd, 23rd?
Yes, Friday, Saturday, 22nd, 23rd, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots
Thank
of
you.
love.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.